in a real case of going out in a whimper rather than a bang, on Wednesday, November the 26th, the RICO charges that were pending against President Trump over in the state of Georgia, they were dropped, and really without much fanfare. Unlike the case itself that was brought forth by Fani Willis, which literally enjoyed wall-to-wall coverage on every major network, the news of the case being completely dropped fell on deaf ears. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see any front-page stories on CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, or any of the other legacy outlets. It's funny how that works. Regardless, though, in case you don't remember the details of the case itself, Ms. Fani Willis is the district attorney of Fulton County, Georgia. And back in August of 2023, which honestly at this point feels like a lifetime ago, she issued indictments against both President Trump as well as 18 of his associates. The case was brought forth under the RICO statute, which stands for the Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act. This is a relatively powerful law, which is currently on the books in 33 different states. And what it does is it basically allows the prosecutors to combat mob-style criminal activity. Essentially, with the way that the law is set up, it allows prosecutors to target the kingpin who intentionally keeps himself several steps removed from the actual illegal activity being committed on the ground. And so in plain English, what it meant is that Georgia state prosecutors, they were charging the case as if it was a case involving the mafia, with the idea being that President Trump was the kingpin leading everybody else in the commission of crimes, with the crimes in question being 41 counts of things like forging elector certificates, soliciting public officials to violate their oaths of office, filing false documents, as well as pressuring officials to quote-unquote find votes in order to overturn the official results of the 2020 election. Now, the ups and downs of that case were wild. For instance, just a few months in, one of Trump's co-defendants, a man by the name of Michael Roman, great name by the way, he introduced a bombshell court document accusing Ms. Fani Willis of hiring her romantic partner as the lead prosecutor in the case, paying him over $650,000 in legal fees at the same time that he was taking her on vacations to places like Napa Valley, Florida, as well as the Caribbean. The man in question was Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, and that whole episode was really something else. It culminated in this several-day-long hearing that was televised nationally, pretty much on every single network, and it was embarrassing for everyone involved. It was for Fani Willis, for Nathan Wade, as well as for about a dozen of their coworkers and acquaintances who wound up taking to the stand and having to answer questions. And even though many of the explanations appeared to be shaky and some of them were contradictory with even the actual evidence, ultimately, the Fulton County judge in charge of the case, he removed Nathan Wade, but he allowed Fani Willis to remain on the case. Quote, in March, after what amounted to a mini-trial where attorneys for Trump and his co-defendants sought to prove their case against Willis and Wade, Judge Scott McAfee found that there was not enough evidence to firmly prove Willis financially benefited from the relationship. Willis's testimony in televised proceedings put her personal life in the spotlight, turning discussion away from the charges that Trump and others face in Georgia. The judge ultimately decided that Willis would be allowed to continue to helm the case if Wade stepped down, which he later did. However, the judge also left the door open for an appeal. Quote, in March, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee acknowledged that he was in novel legal territory and allowed defendants to appeal his decision to a higher court. And so the legal team for one of Trump's co-defendants did exactly that. They appealed that decision. Eventually, in December of 2024, which was a month after the election, an appeals court ruled that Fani Willis must be disqualified, which effectively removed her from the case. Now, Fani Willis, she appealed that decision, but in September of this year, of 2025, the Georgia State Supreme Court declined to review her appeal, effectively making her disqualification stand, meaning as of September of this year, she was completely removed from the case. Now, with Fani Willis gone, the RICO case was supposed to get reassigned to another prosecutor. However, nobody wanted the job, whether it was because Trump was back in office or perhaps because they did not see a path for victory. For whatever reason, every single prosecutor available declined. Quote, the nonpartisan Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia was tasked with replacing Willis after she was disqualified over an appearance of impropriety created by a romantic relationship with a special prosecutor she'd chosen to lead the case. According to the organization's executive director, Pete Skandalakis, several prosecutors were contacted, and while all were respectful and professional, each declined the appointment. And as such, given that literally nobody else wanted to do it, the executive director of this organization, Mr. Pete Skandalakis, I hope I'm pronouncing that name correctly, he took the case on himself. Now, Mr. Skandalakis, after taking it on, he was given over 100 boxes of documents, as well as an 8-terabyte hard drive with a full RICO investigation on it. However, within 20 days of taking up the case, he decided to close it and end it altogether. In his submitted court filing, Mr. Skandalakis explained his decision as follows, quote, in my professional opinion, the citizens of Georgia are not served by pursuing this case in full for another 5 to 10 years. The case should be ended to serve the interest of justice and promote judicial finality. He then went on in his explanation to cite a number of issues with the case as it was formulated, including, quote, constitutional questions and the supremacy clause to immunity, jurisdiction, venue, speedy trial concerns, and access to federal records. Even assuming each of these issues were resolved in the state's favor, bringing this case before a jury in 2029, 2030, or even 2031 would be nothing short of a remarkable feat. He also mentioned that given the fact that many of the alleged criminal acts took place in Washington, D.C. rather than in Georgia, it's unclear whether Fulton County actually has jurisdiction. And then, in terms of why he didn't just go after Trump's co-defendants rather than the president himself, he wrote that, quote, deciding to bring the case against the other defendants before Trump's term ends would be both illogical and unduly burdensome and costly for the state and for Fulton County. And so there you have it. After over 2 years, as of the day before Thanksgiving, without much fanfare, all the charges against President Trump and his remaining co-defendants have been dismissed. And the RICO case as a whole is now dead. If you'd like to go deeper into anything that we discussed in today's episode, I will throw my research notes. You'll be able to find them down in the description box below if you're the type of person that likes to dig into the weeds. And all I ask in return is that as you're making your way down there to the description box, please do take a super quick detour to smash those like and subscribe buttons so that this video can reach ever more people via the YouTube algorithm. Because otherwise, if they don't get access to this video, they might literally not know that the case has been dismissed. They'll be like, wait a minute. I remember seeing that literally wall-to-wall coverage of this case must still be going on because I'd never heard of it being dismissed. And I really do mean wall-to-wall because I remember, especially during that mini trial within the trial when Nathan Wade was taking the stand and Fani Willis was explaining away their relationship and how, they were like sharing money and how she had all this like $15,000 in cash laying around her house and that money was fungible, blah, 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 like that whole story. I remember I was sitting in the office and in front of me, I had 3 televisions, but one of the TVs was like a 4-in-1. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 6 different channels I was watching at once. I forgot the channels, but like CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, Fox, C-SPAN, NTD, and a few others. But basically, every single channel was not without any commercial breaks. They were just covering that portion of the trial. So this really was an absolute wall-to-wall affair. But now that it's over, it really died with a whimper. You don't even hear about it. So again, that's sort of the long take of why you should smash that like button and that subscribe button so that people can actually hear about it. All right, just to pause here for a super quick moment, I'd like to introduce our new sponsor, Aura, the best company to use to actually keep your identity safe. I use them myself, and they really are great. What they do is they scan the dark web to see whether your information is out there, like your contact info and your social security number, things like that. And then they send you alerts if they find anything. And for me, they found a lot. I had 8 critical leaks online, including 6 password leaks. And Aura actually sends you what they found. And yeah, my actual email and passwords were online. So as soon as I saw that, I immediately changed everything. And they're also constantly monitoring things like your credit report, any suspicious transactions, any new data breaches. And so if anyone opens up a new line of credit in your name, for example, you immediately get notified. Also, they have another great service, which is that their team, they contact all these different data brokers online with official notices requesting that they remove your info. Because I don't know about you, but the amount of things like spam calls and random emails I've been getting is off the charts in the last year. And the reason is actually fairly simple. My contact information is just out there on all those different people's search websites. And so Aura is good. They scan all those sites. They get those companies to actually remove your name and contact info from them. And that service is so good, it saves you probably a month of time having to reach out to all those different companies yourself. Also, if the worst does happen, Aura actually offers identity theft insurance, up to $1 million per adult, of course, depending on the plan you get. And also they have this white glove fraud remediation team that actually helps walk you through recovery step by step. And so, yeah, check them out. Just head on over to aura.com/factsmatter, and there you can get a 14-day free trial, which I would recommend for everyone to get, even if you don't continue with their service. During that 14-day free trial, it includes a scan of the dark web for your info. And so basically with that scan, you'll know what's out there as well as what passwords you need to change immediately. And the scary thing is that it might be some password from some random account that you opened up like 7 years ago on some random website, but that website got hacked and now the information is just out there. So definitely check out the trial. I'll throw a link to Aura. It'll be down there in the description box below. Just click on that link and it'll take you to the sale page where you can take advantage of that offer. And now let's get back to the show. And now, to end this episode on a slightly different topic, a little while ago, I announced that anyone who created a Give, Send, Go campaign using my sponsor referral link will get their fundraiser shouted out on the show in time for Giving Tuesday, which is today. Now, if you don't know, Black Friday is the day for spending money, whereas Giving Tuesday is a day for giving money to charity. And so, having said that, we got a few show watchers who sent in their fundraisers, and so I'd like to present them to you. Starting with this one here, we have Bobby, who is looking for some help to get back on his feet. You can check that out. Next, we have another show watcher who sent me the following message via email, quote, "My youngest sister passed suddenly 1 month after her son was born. Her husband is left trying to keep his home to raise his son. Please help. God bless." Their fundraiser is titled Help Donald and Baby After Sammy's Passing. And by the way, all these will be linked down in the description box below where you can read more details, you can donate money, and they even offer a prayer button, so you can do that as well. Next up, we have Amanda, who is raising money for a new platform that she's working on called awakenandunite.com. And she wrote to me in an email that it's a, quote, "platform dedicated to truth, healing, and the transformation of those who have been overlooked, oppressed, or forgotten." The fundraiser she created is called TV with a Purpose, and if you read it, it looks like she's working on a reality TV series dedicated to healing and restoring the lives of traffic survivors, struggling veterans, and those battling addiction. So best of luck to creating that show. Next, we have Miss Rochelle. She is a longtime show watcher who's raising money to get her and her service dog a plane ticket back home after she suffered a death in her family. Next, we have a show watcher named Brian Bickle raising money for the Ray of Hope Academy, which is a school for young kids in war-torn Cameroon over in Africa. You can read more about their work on the fundraiser page down in the description box below. Next, we have a reverend who watches the show, and they're looking to fix up their local church after it experienced 2 back-to-back floods this year. And then lastly, we have a family who really has had a rough patch. The mom has had serious health problems and had to have open heart surgery. And then the father blew out his back on the job site. And because of that, they're obviously having struggle raising their 2 daughters. So you can read their full story. It'll be down there in their fundraiser. And also on all the Give, Send, Go fundraisers, you can not only donate, but you can actually offer them a prayer as well. So check it out. Even if you're not going to donate money, you can still offer them a prayer. They watch the show. They're all part of the extended Facts Matter family. And so let's help them out. And then until next time, I'm your show host, Roman from the Epic Times. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay free.